My beloved child, I do not call you with the noise of fear, nor do I pull you with promises that make your heart race, only to leave behind a vast emptiness. I call you with truth, the kind of truth that enables you to stand firm. I come to reset foundations, not to stimulate temporary cravings. I do not force you to act out of panic, nor do I pressure you to believe out of fear of missing out. I am a father, and the way I work always releases you from pressure, never pushes you deeper into it. When you hear a voice that unsettles your heart, that makes you feel as though everything will collapse the moment you look away, pause and breathe. That is not my voice. My voice carries weight without coercion. It penetrates deeply without pushing. It leads you far while still granting you enough peace to place each step securely. I know you are weary from chasing conflicting signals. Weary because every day there seems to be a new secret, a new shortcut, a new decisive moment being sold as a universal key. I see that confusion, and I come to still the murky waters within you so you can see the bottom clearly and walk with confidence. I have seen you in the days when you counted every expense, in the nights when you lay awake because the future was unclear, in the moments when you blamed yourself for believing you were moving slower than others. I have also seen what you did not speak of. You kept your word when no one was checking. You worked diligently without recognition. You refused paths that looked fast but weighed heavily on your conscience. I do not overlook these things. I do not measure your life by speed. I measure it by faithfulness. I do not judge by the surface. I look at the roots in order to heal. For if the roots are strong, the tree will stand through the wind. If the roots are weak, the branches will break no matter how bright the sun may be. That is why, before I widen the doors on the outside, I realign the structure within. I remove from you the habit of comparison. I silence the mocking voice that says you are not enough. I break the cycles that drain your energy on things that bear no fruit. I am teaching you discernment not so that you doubt everything, but so that you know which light truly guides and which flame flares up only to fade. My provision is not a miracle that drops from the sky and leaves you unsure how to steward it. It is the flow of covenant, passing through wisdom, discipline, and trust. I do not give so that you may boast. I give so that you may live in order. I do not give so that you may dominate others. I give so that you may serve without fear of lack. I do not give so that money may lead you. I give so that you may govern it in freedom. You have asked why. At times, you did what was right and the results came slowly. My child, there are seasons when I work deep rather than fast, seasons when I strengthen foundations rather than raise walls. When foundations are laid correctly, the house endures the weather. When foundations are rushed, cracks soon appear. I do not want you building on the sand of haste. I want you standing on the rock of true understanding, understanding who you are, what I am doing, and how you are called to walk. Look back at the ancient stories, not to copy their form, but to grasp their principles. The widow of Zarephath was not sustained because she possessed a secret technique. She was preserved because she dared to trust in scarcity and obey in what was small. Joseph was not lifted up because he avoided suffering. He was positioned because he kept his integrity when no one was watching. Those stories do not promise a smooth road. They reveal a lasting path. I am leading you onto that path where you learn to labor without trading away your soul, to rest without guilt, to be generous without recklessness, to practice restraint without bitterness. I am teaching you holy habits, honest accounting, wise priorities, saying no to what exhausts you, saying yes to what nourishes the future. I am reordering your rhythm of life so that you no longer run in panic but walk in understanding. I am healing your relationship with money. At times you feared it because it once wounded you. At times you clung to it because you once lacked. Both bind you. I am freeing you from both fear and dependence. I teach you to see money as a tool, a means to fulfill purpose, not a measure of worth. When you stop allowing money to define you, it will no longer control you. When you anchor your value in me, you will know how to use money without being used by it. From that place, I open fitting opportunities not for display, but for stability, not to elevate you above others, but to make you sufficient for the responsibilities entrusted to you. Sometimes it may be an expanded role, a timely partnership, a return you did not expect, a door you once believed was not meant for you. Yet whatever the form, I want you to recognize my signature. Everything arrives in order, not chaos. Everything comes with peace, not pressure. Everything comes with responsibility, not indulgence. I know you have grown weary of promises that say, right now, only today. Don't miss out. I do not use that language to lead you. I use light to open your eyes. I give you time to consider, space to pray, freedom to choose. True faith is not afraid of reflection. It matures in truth. You do not need a blind leap. You need a steady step. And I am there for each step. When you stumble, I uphold you. When you pause, I do not rush you. When you move forward, I walk with you. I do not promise you will never face the wind, but I promise you will not be swept away. I do not promise wealth by noisy standards, but I promise sufficiency by enduring measures. Let me reset the rhythm of your heart. Let me remove from you the panic fueled by rumors. Let me teach you to hear the whisper of wisdom, a voice that is quiet yet firm, slow yet deep. When you choose to trust my path, you will notice a change that is not loud but unmistakable. You sleep more peacefully. Your decisions become clearer. Your relationships healthier. Your work more directed. From that foundation, blessing comes like soaking rain, not flooding the ground, but steadily nourishing it. I am doing something new, yet I do it in a way that does not break you. I am opening the future, while at the same time cultivating maturity within you. Remain in this light. My beloved, do not chase voices that make you rush. Follow the voice that makes you steady. I am here not to agitate you, but to lead you into the fullness of life. My beloved child, when I speak of provision, I am not speaking merely of numbers that bring momentary relief. I am speaking of a restored order, a flow released when you live from the right identity, the right principles, the right rhythm. There were seasons when you asked me to change circumstances quickly, and I understand. Yet there were times I did not rush to change them, because I was rescuing you from a way of living that kept you running just to repair what kept breaking. I do not want you to escape one lack only to walk straight into another, different in name, but identical in nature. I want to end the cycle at its root. That is why I teach you to look deeper. What is leaking? What is draining you? What is driving you to act from fear rather than wisdom? I do not ask to condemn, I ask to heal. When you courageously face these questions, light will reach places you once avoided. Small habits, it's fine decisions, spending to fill emptiness, debt taken on to prove something, overwork driven by fear of being left behind. I do not shame you. I free you from everything that once bound you. My beloved child, there are voices that will promise you a miracle as if it were a transaction. Do this to get that. Click here to unlock there. Repeat a symbol to activate fortune. But I do not teach you to live by charms. I teach you to live by truth. I do not require you to declare so that I will finally act. I call you into obedience so that you may be protected from the wrong path. For there are gifts that arrive quickly but leave long consequences. And there are doors that open wide yet lead into an empty room. I do not want you to receive anything that costs you your peace, your character, or your integrity. I do not place you in the light only for you to step back into darkness because of an enticing invitation. I am teaching you heaven's pace, neither rushed nor delayed, right season, right rhythm. You think I am slow, but often I am walking ahead of you, clearing the way your eyes cannot yet see. Remember my people in the wilderness, they were given bread each day, yet they were not allowed to store it out of greed. I taught them trust, and I taught them order. Those who gathered more than their portion found it spoiled. Those who received the right portion found it sufficient. I do not tell you this to make you afraid of saving. I tell you so you understand a principle. Heaven's provision is paired with your stewardship. I will give you enough to live in peace. And I will give you more to live on purpose, but I will also train you so that you do not turn more into a trap of pride or indulgence. I will not allow prosperity to swallow you. I will give you the wisdom to keep yourself when things become easy. For some, stand firm in hardship, yet fall in comfort. I want you to stand firm in both. Understand this blessing does not come only through one moment of receiving, but also through many moments of keeping. Some rejoice when money arrives, yet do not know how to keep the foundations that allow it to remain. I will teach you that. I will teach you to see cash flow as you see water flow without banks. It floods and is lost. With wise banks, it irrigates and bears fruit. Your banks are disciplined. Your banks are priorities. Your banks are honesty with yourself. Your banks are the ability to say that is enough when greed tries to pull you forward. Your banks are discerning between need and desire. You are not a bad person because you once spent poorly. You are a person who needs healing in order to live rightly. And I will do that work not with lashes, but with light. I know there were times you thought that without a breakthrough, you would never escape. But my breakthroughs are not always crashing waves. Sometimes they are small springs opened in the right place, flowing so steadily that you are surprised they keep flowing. I am leading you out of a jerking way of life. One moment, extreme hope. The next, extreme despair. I want you to learn stability. I want you to be at rest. I want you to stop living like someone who must wait for a miracle just to breathe. I want you to breathe within the process, because I am in it. When you stop waiting for sensational signals, you will begin to recognize true signs, a timely invitation to collaborate, a clear idea, a skill you acquire, a habit you build, a small but real door. These are me leading you step by step, not flashy, but sure. My beloved child, I have placed gifts within you not for you to bury. There are days you work and see no results because you are laboring in the wrong direction, pouring strength into what does not produce a harvest. I will realign your course. I will help you recognize the true seeds, the work that multiplies as you do it, that bears seasons as you sow. I will teach you focus. I will help you cut away what scatters you, projects that are not yours, invitations that exhaust you, comparisons that drain your warmth. When you focus, your energy no longer leaks. When you focus, your gifts become a flow. And when the flow is opened, provision follows naturally, not because you attract money, but because you stand in the right place, not because you hold a secret, but because you are in order. I can use people to bless you, but I will not allow you to depend on people. I can touch someone's heart to support you, but I will not place your security in their hands. I am the source. People are only channels. When you remember this, you will no longer fear abandonment, for channels may change, but the source does not. When a door closes, I do not panic. When a relationship leaves, I remain the one who holds you. I will teach you to see everything in the light of covenant. What belongs to you will not drift away from you. What drifts away was never truly yours. Do not mourn what I remove to protect you. Sometimes I close a door not because you are unworthy, but because behind that door is a price you should not pay. Practice one thing today. Do not let your mind be dragged by the fear of missing out. You do not miss my opportunity because you did not perform a ritual. You do not lose what I intend because you refuse to yield to pressure. I do not hang blessings on the hook of panic. I place blessing on the foundation of trust and obedience. Return to what is simple. Pray with a sincere heart. Work with diligence. Steward with wisdom. Be generous with love. Rest in peace. If you do this, you are on the right path, even if you do not yet see everything change. And you will see this, what I build in you today will keep you steady when tomorrow opens wide. I do not only want you to have money to pay a bill, I want you to have the wisdom not to return to lack. I do not only want you to escape once, I want you to step into a new way of life. So do not look for me in the noise. Do not let fast promises make you forget the enduring path. Allow me to cleanse your motives, clarify your vision, and strengthen your hands. When you walk with me, you will be surprised by the things that are real as they arrive without display, without pressure, without demanding the price of your soul, yet clear enough for you to know it is me. And when you receive them, you will not tremble in fear of losing them. You will be at peace, knowing that I am the one who keeps my word. I want you to enter the depth of this truth, so that you do not merely understand it with your mind, but also settle into it with your whole soul. There is something I must make clear within you. My provision does not come to fill an inner emptiness. If that emptiness is not healed, then, no matter how much I place in your hands, you will still feel a lack of safety, lack of security, lack of a sense of enough. That is why I am doing more delicate work than you realize. I am teaching you to recognize when you reach for money to soothe an unnamed fear, when you throw yourself into work to avoid facing something within, when you hope for a quick miracle so you will not have to change a long-standing habit. I do not expose these things to shame you. I do so to free you. For true freedom does not come when circumstances change, but when inner motives are purified, when fear no longer drives you, you will find yourself making wiser decisions, calmer choices, and walking with greater endurance. There are seasons when I allow you to move slowly so you can learn how to listen not to the noise of the market, of comparison, of other people's achievements, but to the breathing rhythm of your own soul before me. I know you have wondered, if I do not speed up, will I be left behind? But my child, in my kingdom, no one is left behind when they walk at the right pace. The one who becomes lost is the one who runs to a rhythm that was never meant for them. I do not ask you to prove your worth through busyness. I do not measure you by how exhausted you become. I care about the life within you, whether it is being nourished or not. For a depleted soul will always spend wrongly, always choose hastily, always trade the long term for the short term. I do not want you to live that way. I want you to live as someone who knows they are being kept, Remember the one who was called out of his tent to look at the stars. Abraham was not given a detailed schedule, nor was he given a shortcut. He was given a promise, and he learned to walk day by day in trust. There were days when he saw nothing but sand and wind, yet he did not return to the old road simply because the present felt empty. You are the same. There are days when you see no clear sign, but that does not mean I am not working. Often I work most deeply when the surface is quiet. I am sowing patience within you, not resignation, but steadfastness that knows how to wait for the right time. The one who cannot wait will always be led by emotion. The one who knows how to wait will be led by wisdom. My beloved child, the world teaches you that you are valuable when you have more, when you advance quickly, when you stand out. But I teach you that you are valuable because you belong to me, even when your hands are empty. When your worth is no longer tied to possessions, you will no longer panic when income fluctuates. You will not lose yourself in seasons of change. From that steadiness, you will be able to build what lasts. I want you to become someone whom abundance does not make proud and lack does not break. I want you to stand upright in every season. That is the prosperity I am aiming for, a prosperity that begins within, spreads into your life, and touches those around you. I know there are moments when you think that if I were truly with you, things would have been easier. But my child, what is easy is not always good. Some things, if they come too easily, you would not know how to keep. I am not training you for a moment. I am training you for a lifetime. I am building in you the capacity to carry responsibility, to carry grace, to carry influence. A small vessel, if overfilled, will spill and break. A vessel fired long enough can hold much more without cracking. The season you are in is a season of firing. No one enjoys the fire, but it is what makes the vessel useful. Do not despise this season. Do not rush to escape it. Let me complete my work within you. As you learn to live with this kind of awareness, you will notice something. Temptations that promise fast and easy begin to lose their appeal. You are no longer swept away by provocative voices. You no longer need to cling to an external sign to reassure yourself. You will learn to discern what is a true opportunity and what is merely bait. And I will confirm you with peace, not brief excitement, but a deep inner sense that says, "This is right." I often lead you through that sense. When you learn to honor it, you will avoid many turns that would have cost you dearly. I want you to look again at the small things you are doing each day. You may think they are insignificant, but I use those very things to open the way for greater ones. An honest habit of stewardship, a decision not to spend emotionally, a moment when you choose rest instead of exhaustion, a morning when you pray before rushing into work. These things are accumulating. They are like small stones laying the foundation for a long road. I do not build your future through dangerous leaps. I build it through steady steps. And when the time comes, you will find yourself standing in a place you once only dared to imagine, not because you took reckless risks, but because you were prepared. The silence you are experiencing is not my absence. It is space for your growth. I am very near enough to hear even the thoughts you have not yet spoken. I am leading you out of a reactive way of living into a purposeful one, out of the fear of lack into the trust of sufficiency. As you continue walking with me, you will see this. What I give you does not cause you to lose yourself, does not pull you away from your values, does not demand that you trade your soul. It comes at the right time, in the right place, and remains long enough for you to build a new life. Rest in this, my beloved. I am not finished with you. This is only the foundation. Remember, What I am doing is not merely bringing you out of lack, but separating you from a mindset that has imprisoned you for far too long. Some chains are not in circumstances, but in the way you think, the way you react, the way you speak to yourself when things do not unfold as you hoped. I cannot build a new future on the foundation of old beliefs that were born in fear. That is why, before I expand territory around you, I am expanding space within you. I am teaching you to recognize the familiar phrases that have repeated themselves in your mind. Maybe I'm not suited for this. I always arrive too late. Others are luckier. What if I fail again? These are not truth. They are echoes of wounds that have not yet been healed. I do not blame you for learning to protect yourself with such thoughts, but I invite you to lay them down, for they no longer serve you in this new season. My beloved child, there is a great difference between humility and self-diminishment. Humility is knowing where you come from and by whom you are upheld. Self-diminishment is forgetting the value I have placed within you. I am not calling you into a new season so that you continue to shrink. I am calling you to stand upright, not in arrogance, but in a grounded resting within your identity. When you know you are loved and being led, you will not need to compete. You will not need to prove yourself. You will not need to grab every opportunity out of fear of loss. You will know how to choose. And that ability to choose wisely is a vital part of the maturity I am forming within you. I do not want you merely to be rescued from. I want you to be equipped for. Remember those I used in generations past. Moses was not taken straight from the palace into his calling. He had to pass through the wilderness to learn how to hear me in silence. David did not step directly from the pasture onto the throne. He had to learn faithfulness in small things, patience under misunderstanding, and mastery over his own heart when revenge was within his grasp. Those seasons of quiet were not meaningless delays. They were heaven's classrooms. You, too, are in such a classroom. Each time you choose not to react according to old instincts, you pass a lesson. Each time you pause to pray instead of panicking, you advance. Do not despise those silent victories. I see them, and I am building upon them. I know there are times you feel as though you are standing in between, no longer in the old place, yet not fully arrived at the new. That in-between state can confuse you, because it no longer offers familiar safety, nor has it yet given the stability you long for. Yet it is precisely there that I work most powerfully. When you can no longer rely on old patterns, you begin to truly rely on me. When familiar backups are gone, new capacities begin to form. I am not leaving you suspended. I am training your balance. And when you learn balance, you will not be easily knocked over by the changes ahead. My provision often comes with expanded responsibility. When I give you more, I also widen your influence over family, over work, over the people I place around you. That is why I am teaching you to steward not only money, but also energy, time, and emotions. You cannot enter a season of abundance while keeping a scattered way of living. You cannot carry more if your hands are always full of what is no longer necessary. I will help you release relationships that only drain, habits that exhaust you, goals you chase merely out of fear of falling behind. Releasing is not losing. Releasing is making room. And when you make room, I will fill it with what is more fitting. I do not compare you with anyone. I do not use another person's measure to evaluate you. You have your own rhythm, your own path, and your own way of maturing. When you keep looking sideways, you will either grow proud or discouraged. Both will pull you off course. But when you look toward me, you will be realigned. I do not need you to be faster than anyone. I need you to be faithful with what has been entrusted to you today. That faithfulness, over time, creates a stability no one can take away. The one who moves fast may arrive early, but the one who walks steadily will remain. I know you have asked me to make everything clear all at once, but my child, if I were to reveal the entire picture too soon, you would either be overwhelmed or try to control it. I reveal in portions just enough for the next step. This requires you to learn how to trust me in the spaces of the unknown. Mature faith is not having complete information. It is knowing you are walking with one who is trustworthy. When you walk in that spirit, you will no longer be dominated by the fear of, what if I'm wrong? For even when you stumble, I am there to correct the course. I do not abandon you over an imperfect decision. I lead you through it so you may grow wiser. Allow me to touch how you see yourself in this season. You are no longer someone merely trying to survive. You are becoming someone who knows how to build. This shift may feel unfamiliar, even unsettling, because it requires you to take greater responsibility for your choices. But that is the mark of maturity. I am moving you from a victim mindset to a steward's mindset, from reaction to intention, from anxious pleading to purposeful prayer. You no longer need to beg life to treat you kindly. You are learning to walk within the order I have established, where blessing has a channel through which to flow. What I ask of you is not perfection, but honesty. Be honest with me about the fears that still linger. Be honest with yourself about what needs to change. Be honest about the limits you currently have, so I can strengthen you in the right places. When you are honest, I do not turn away, I draw nearer. My light does not come to expose you to shame, but to free you from what restrains you. And step by step, you will notice you are becoming different, not loudly, but clearly, not abruptly, but firmly. Be at peace. What I am doing to you now is a foundation for greater things ahead. I am preparing you so that when the door opens, you will not only step in, but know how to remain, how to build, how to protect what is entrusted to you. Do not rush the process. Do not underestimate the inner changes. I am leading you on the right path, even if you cannot yet see every turn ahead. Keep walking with me. The rest, I will take care of. My beloved child, true change is rarely loud. It does not arrive like an explosion that makes everyone turn their heads, but as a quiet inner shift where old reflexes gradually lose their power, where familiar compulsions no longer pull you along. I am doing something very specific within you. I am teaching you how to stand firm without straining. Before, you thought that to move forward you had to tense up more. Try harder. Push yourself beyond your limits. But my child, that is the way of exhaustion, not the way of life. I am leading you out of a survival mode into a supported way of living. As you learn to lean on me, you will find that you no longer have to exert yourself to maintain balance. The order I establish will hold you. I am removing from you things you did not even realize were there until they are gone. The constant need to be on guard, to prepare for the worst, to keep an escape route in your mind because you did not dare believe that good things could last. I understand why you formed those mechanisms. They once helped you survive. But a new season does not require old weapons. I am not calling you into the future with a guarded heart. I am calling you to walk with an open heart, protected by wisdom. I am teaching you to distinguish between vigilance and anxiety, between preparation and obsession. When you stop living in a constant state of alarm, your energy will be released for what truly builds. And in that release, provision begins to flow more naturally than you ever imagined. For a long time, you gave too much space to things that did not nourish. You misaligned demands, vague expectations, relationships that required you to shrink yourself. I do not blame you for being afraid to say no, but I am teaching you that saying no at the right time is actually saying yes to what I am building. You cannot step into a season of abundance if you continue to let resources leak through unpatched holes. I am helping you discern what is true responsibility and what is a burden you carried out of fear of disappointing others. When you reset boundaries, you do not become selfish, you become faithful to your calling, and that faithfulness creates space for provision to be retained rather than lost. Pay attention to this important truth. I am not only giving you enough to live, I am teaching you enough to be at rest. There is a great difference between having more and being at peace. Many people have abundance and yet remain restless. They keep running, keep collecting, keep fearing loss. I do not want you to enter that kind of abundance. I want you to step into a state where your heart is firmly anchored in the knowledge that I am the source, not circumstances, anchored in the understanding that you are being held, not left to chance. When your heart is anchored, you will no longer make rushed decisions out of fear of lack. You will know how to wait, how to choose, how to refuse paths that are not fitting even when they appear attractive. And that ability to wait is itself a sign of maturity. I know you once believed that if you did not seize every opportunity, you would fall behind. But I am teaching you a different principle. Not every opportunity belongs to you. Some doors open to test you, not to lead you through. I am giving you discernment so you are no longer deceived by outward shine. You will begin to recognize that true opportunities usually come with a quiet peace, not a pressing urgency. They do not force you to betray your values or trade away what is foundational. When you learn to listen to that peace, you will avoid many turns that demand a long-term cost. I am protecting you from short-lived victories that bring deep damage. In this process, I am also changing the way you pray. Before, many of your prayers rose from anxiety, fear of lack, fear of delay, fear of being wrong. I did not reproach you, I listened to them all. But now I am leading you into another kind of prayer born of trust. You begin to ask me not only give me, but show me. You no longer only want me to act for you, you want me to guide you. When your prayers change direction, your life changes direction as well. You stop waiting for a miracle to fix everything and begin to walk each day in small, steady guidance. And it is that steadiness that produces lasting results. Look back at the very subtle changes taking place. You react more slowly to bad news. You no longer panic as before when plans are disrupted. You pause before speaking, before deciding. These may seem small, but they are signs of a foundation being strengthened. I am building within you an inner strength that does not depend on external conditions. When that inner strength grows firm, you will no longer be tossed back and forth by circumstances. And when you are no longer tossed about, you will be able to build for the long term in work, in finances, and in relationships. I want to remind you that my provision often comes through very ordinary paths. Do not overlook this. I do not always act in ways that make people marvel. Often I open an opportunity to learn, a healthy connection, a practical idea, a small step in the right direction. If you only look for what is extraordinary, you may miss what is essential. I am training you to recognize the value of faithfulness in unnoticed things. From there, I lift you up not by pulling you off the ground, but by making the ground beneath your feet firm. I am doing more than you can see. I am working deeper than you can feel. You do not need to force the process to move faster. You only need to remain in truth and keep walking. What I am dismantling, I dismantle so you may be lighter. What I am building, I build so you may be stronger. And when the time is ripe, you will look back and realize that these seemingly quiet months prepared you for a season you can enter without fear. Keep walking with me. My beloved, I am not finished yet. Beloved, as I bring you to this part of the journey, I want you to understand something vital. True maturity is not shown only by what you can do, but by what no longer controls you. In the past, certain fears guided you. Fear of lack, fear of mistakes, fear of being left behind, fear of not being enough. They do not vanish overnight, but I am stripping them of their authority. You are beginning to realize that you do not have to react to every thought that appears in your mind. You can observe it, weigh it, and choose not to follow it. This is a significant shift. When you are no longer driven by fear, you will stop making decisions that cost you dearly in the long run just to soothe short-term anxiety. I am teaching you to govern your inner life not through hardness, but through awareness. My beloved child, there is something I am building within you that you only sense when you slow down, an inner steadiness, not a loud confidence, but a quiet certainty that you are no longer easily knocked down by the winds of circumstance. You are beginning to understand that not every disruption is a sign of danger. Some disruptions are simply necessary adjustments. Before, every change tightened you because you feared losing control. Now you are learning to ask, what is this teaching me? When the question changes, the experience changes. I am not saying you will never encounter surprises. I am saying you will no longer panic when they come. And in that state, you will be able to choose more wisely, choices not driven by pressure, but grounded in truth. I am also renewing the way you define success. You once thought success meant arriving quickly, surpassing others, proving yourself right. But I am teaching you a deeper definition. Success is living in alignment with what I have entrusted to you, fulfilling your portion in each season, preserving inner integrity even as circumstances shift. There are days when you see no obvious progress, yet I still call them successful if you remain upright in heart, work with diligence, and rest with peace. I am not concerned only with outcomes. I care about the person you are becoming along the way. For outcomes may come and go, but who you become will determine what you are able to keep. In this season, I want to emphasize one thing. Sustainable provision is always tied to a clear understanding of your limits. You are not meant to do everything, nor to carry everything. In the past, you believed that if you did not hold it all together by your own strength, everything would collapse. But I am showing you that there are things that can only stand when you are willing to lay them down. When you know how to say enough, you make room for true sufficiency. When you know how to stop, you avoid cycles of depletion. I do not bless you so that you exhaust yourself trying to preserve the blessing. I bless you so that you may live with rhythm, with rest, with renewal. A life that never knows how to stop will always leak, no matter how much it receives. I am teaching you the art of stopping at the right time. This is wisdom, not weakness. Let me speak about something you rarely notice: quiet influence. You do not need a high position or vast resources to begin influencing others. When you live steadily, when you respond differently, when you are no longer driven by anxiety, the people around you will sense it. They may not be able to name what has changed, but they will see that you are different. I use that very difference to open doors you could never open on your own. Some relationships are healed, not because you say more, but because you are no longer defensive. Some opportunities come not because you chase them, but because you are trustworthy. I am shaping you into someone others feel safe working with. Safe in trusting things too. Safe walking alongside. This is a very deep kind of wealth, a wealth of credibility. There are days when all you do is continue doing what is right. Continue keeping your rhythm. Continue not returning to the old path. And I call that strength. Mature faith is not always emotional. It is resilient. It stays when excitement fades. It chooses trust when there are no clear signs. And it is this kind of faith that makes you steady. I do not need you to always feel like you are winning. I need you not to give up when you do not feel like you are. I do not build your life on dramatic peaks, but on ordinary days lived rightly. Days when you wake up, do your part, keep your heart upright, care for your body and mind, pray in quiet. Those days are accumulating. You may not see it yet, but they are forming a foundation you will one day stand on without fear of collapse. When the season of expansion comes, you will not be overwhelmed, not swept away, not lose yourself. You will know where you are, what you are doing, and why you are there. Keep walking. My beloved, no need to rush, no need to prove anything. I am with you in every small step, and those very steps are taking you very far, my beloved child. I am bringing you into a phase where many things you once called normal are being examined under my light. For there are small habits and repeated daily choices that, though quieter than major events, determine the direction of your entire life. You once thought life changes only through rare turning points, but I tell you, destiny is most often shaped in mornings no one sees, and decisions no one applauds. There were days you simply tried to get through, tried to endure, tried to survive, and in those days, you unknowingly raised pillars for a future you had not yet named. I have seen how you learned to live with tension as if it were normal, how you became accustomed to bracing yourself just to stay upright, how you sometimes believed peace was a luxury reserved for those already secure. But my child, I did not create you for a life of constant burden. I created you to live within an order that carries lightness. I do not promise that the road will be without challenges. I promise that you can walk through challenges while keeping your soul clear and your heartbeat unchoked by anxiety. That is why I am teaching you the first lesson of this season. Build your life by rhythm, not by panic. Do not wait until everything is perfect to learn how to live rightly even in what is lacking, so that when the new arrives, there is a place to set it. I am placing my hand on how you begin a day not because I am demanding, but because I love you enough to care about foundations. When you open your eyes and immediately allow your mind to be pulled into a long list of worries, you hand leadership of that day to fear. When you rush straight into work without pausing to return to me, you allow pressure to rule your breath. I do not condemn you for this. I understand survival patterns. But now I invite you into another way. Begin with presence. Then step into tasks. You do not need a complicated ritual. You need a moment of honesty. Just a quiet space to say, Lord, lead me. Just a breath to remember that you are not alone. Build like a wise builder. Set the first stone correctly, and the whole wall will be straight. When the first stone of the day is set in peace, you will be surprised as your focus returns. Your decisions slow down, and your heart is no longer tossed about by news, by others' words, or by what you cannot control. I once taught one of my own, do not worry about tomorrow, not as permission to neglect responsibility, but as an invitation to shift the weight. You do your part, and let me carry mine. When you learn to transfer the burden into my hands, you will still work diligently, but no longer in exhaustion. This is what I want, that you become resilient, not someone who flares up and burns out. I am also restoring how you end a day. Many times, you carry the noise of the day straight into bed. Your body lies down, but your mind keeps running. Your eyes close, but questions remain open. You want to rest, yet your heart keeps working as if everything will fall apart if you stop. My child, that is not faithfulness, that is self-pressure. I am not honored when you punish yourself. I am honored when you trust me enough to sleep in peace. I want to teach you a new habit. Close the day with surrender. Review what happened, not to accuse yourself, but to learn wisely. Give thanks for the small things you were able to do. Ask me to forgive the moments you were hurried, sharp, or impatient. Then lay down what is unfinished and say, tomorrow I will continue, but tonight I rest in your hands. When you do this, you are declaring a truth. Your life does not need you to strain in order to survive. Your life needs you in the right place, the place of a cared-for child. Remember what I once did for the prophet Elijah before I entrusted him with something great. I fed him, let him sleep, and touched him with gentleness. I am the same. Sometimes what you need most to enter a new season is not more effort, but proper restoration. A rested soul hears more clearly. A peaceful heart discerns more wisely. A cared-for body endures longer. My beloved child, now you must learn to steward the ordinary things: money, time, strength, and relationships. You may ask me to expand you, but if you do not learn to keep what you have, expansion will become a burden. I do not want to give you something that makes you afraid. I want to give you something that makes you steady. That is why I am teaching you a clear principle: what you cannot steward when it is little, you will not steward well when it is much. Do not assume your only problem is lack. Often the deeper issue is no structure. I have come to help you build structure, learning to record honestly, to allocate wisely, to set aside responsibly, to give in love without destroying stability. I am not calling you to live stingily. I am calling you to live wisely. I am not calling you to hoard out of fear. I am calling you to prepare out of responsibility. In my word, some were called wise because they stored rightly in the right season, and entire communities were preserved. I want you to become such a person, not panicking in lack, not wasteful in abundance, not proud of success, not crushed in hardship. You will see when you place your life in order. The right doors will open as a consequence, not as magic. I will teach you how to guard your heart from distraction. There are things that do not come to take your money, but to take your attention. When your attention is fractured, your strength is fractured as well. You will do much but go shallow. Run a lot, but arrive nowhere. Hear many things yet retain nothing. I am calling you back to simplicity, one task at a time, one step at a time, one day at a time. I do not need you to carry everything to prove your worth. I need you to do what I have entrusted to you, with an undivided heart. Remember how Mary chose to sit close to me, and people criticized her for not doing enough. Yet I called that choice the better portion. My child, there are moments when your better portion is not doing more, but staying near me so your heart can be set straight again. When the heart is straight, life will straighten. When the heart is misaligned, you will grow weary from constantly fixing consequences. If you desire to see a new era open in your life, begin by honoring small things. Allow me to teach you rhythm. Allow me to lay foundations in peace. Allow me to heal the habit of bracing yourself. Allow me to restore order in how you steward what you have. When you do this, you will no longer live as someone waiting for a sudden jolt to be rescued. You will live in the steady current of grace, where each day carries guidance. Each step has light, and the future is built from stones of faithfulness. I am here not to let you be swept up in noise, but to anchor you in truth. And when you are anchored, you will see what I have for you does not merely arrive, it remains. It nourishes, and it becomes the legacy of a life set on the right foundation. As you begin to reset your rhythm and honor the ordinary, I want to lead you deeper into another classroom, the classroom of faithfulness in what is unseen. There are seasons when I give you few outward signs, not because I am distant, but because I am teaching you to live from the inside out. Before, you measured progress by feelings, whether you felt motivated today, whether good news appeared, whether someone acknowledged you, but a life built to last cannot depend on passing feelings. I am teaching you a new measure, whether you remain upright when no one is watching, whether you still choose what is right when it brings no immediate reward, whether you continue to trust when everything unfolds very slowly. These questions are not meant to weigh you down. They are signs that I am lifting you into another level of maturity. Those who learn to live rightly in hidden places will not be shaken when the spotlight comes. A person accustomed to the darkness of faithfulness will not be blinded by the light of success. My beloved child, I am also correcting how you view time. At times you feel you are behind, and the fear of being left behind pushes you to accelerate at any cost. But my child, time in my hands does not move by the world's clock. The world worships speed. I honor ripeness. Fruit picked too early may look good, but it lacks flavor. Fruit ripened in its season may not be perfect in appearance, yet it nourishes. I am giving you time to ripen in thinking, ripen in discipline, ripen in the capacity to carry responsibility. If you force yourself to move faster than this ripening, you will carry immaturity into places that require steadiness. So, when the process feels slow, do not rush to conclude that nothing is happening. Often I am working at depths your eyes cannot see. Roots are extending. Tissue is thickening. Structures are being reinforced. When the time comes to bloom, you will not need to hold yourself up by strain. You will stand firm because the foundation is sufficient. You will learn a difficult lesson: how to accept your own limits without despising yourself. You are not infinite, and that does not lessen your value. In the past, you tended to fill every gap with effort, doing more, carrying more, enduring more, because you feared that if you stopped, everything would collapse. But I am showing you a different truth. There are things that only remain standing when you admit you need rest. Rest is not quitting. Rest is restoring strength for the long journey. When you honor the limits of your body and mind, you are protecting what I have placed within you. I do not need you to prove your worth through exhaustion. I need you healthy enough to go far. So when you learn to say enough to work, no to unreasonable demands, and stop to rhythms that drain you, you are not losing opportunities, you are preserving your future. I am training you in a skill many overlook: the ability to wait without bitterness. Some promises do not arrive immediately, and in the waiting your heart can easily grow hard. You may continue doing the right things outwardly, while inwardly collecting comparison. disappointment, even resentment. I do not want you to enter a new season carrying such fatigue in your heart. I am teaching you to wait with hope, to wait with gratitude, to wait with awareness. Waiting is not passive inactivity. It is continuing to live rightly, continuing to sow, continuing to care for what has been entrusted to you. When you wait this way, time does not harden you. Time deepens you. And when the promise arrives, you will receive it with open hands, not clenched fists, stiff from waiting too long. Let me speak to you about something very practical yet deeply spiritual: the way you speak to yourself. Words you repeat in silence gradually become the atmosphere you live in. If you continually tell yourself that you are always lacking, always behind, always falling short, you will walk as someone carrying an invisible burden. I am not forbidding you from facing reality. I am inviting you to speak truth in light. Instead of condemning yourself, you learn to remind yourself that I am leading you. Instead of cursing the process, you learn to recognize what is being formed. I want you to agree with what I am doing, not merely endure it. When the words you speak to yourself change, your strength changes as well. You stop living in defense mode and begin living in building mode. In this stretch, I am also opening your eyes to see that true wealth is not only having more, but removing what makes you poor on the inside, poor in energy, poor in focus, poor in peace. When you cut off sources of noise, simplify your rhythm, and choose quality over quantity, you are enriching your soul. And a wealthy soul knows how to create lasting value. I do not need you chasing every trend. I need you faithful to what I have entrusted to you. When you are faithful, I will expand at the right time, not by overwhelming you, but by strengthening you enough to carry what I give. You are on the right path, even though you have not yet seen the destination. Each time you choose rhythm instead of panic, faithfulness instead of haste, rest instead of exhaustion, you are laying another stone in the foundation of your future. I overlook none of those choices. I am remembering, connecting, and preparing. When the time comes, you will realize that these quiet days were the very strength that enabled you to stand firm in days of greater openness. Keep walking. Beloved, I am here, and I am leading you with both patience and unchanging love. My beloved child, I want you to look more deeply at what is happening. I am not only teaching you to live more rightly, I am teaching you to live more freely. There is a subtle kind of captivity, one where you still work hard, still strive, still keep discipline. Yet inside you are driven by an invisible whip. Be better. Be faster. Prove yourself. Do not fail. My child, I do not train you with that whip. I do not call you into a new season through self-punishment. I call you through grace, where you do what is right because you are already loved, not in order to be loved. When you build on that foundation, your strength will return in a surprising way. You will still be diligent, but not depleted. You will still have goals, but without restlessness. You will still long to grow, but without obsession with surpassing others. I am removing from you the posture of bracing yourself so you do not collapse, and replacing it with the steadiness of one who knows they are upheld. That is why I am teaching you the art of simplicity. You do not need to do everything. You need to do the right thing. You do not need to hold everything. You need to keep what has been entrusted to you. You do not need to chase voices that scatter you. You need to follow guidance that gathers you. As you begin to live this way, you will be surprised that what once made you panic now becomes information you can process. You are no longer knocked over by streams of bad news. You no longer fear change as an enemy. You gain the ability to stand within movement while keeping your inner calm. And from that calm, you truly gain the power to build plans, to build habits, to build stability, to build a sustainable way of life. There is a deep lesson I am teaching you in this season, learning to trust me when I lead you by the light of the next step, not by handing you the entire map. You once wanted to see everything in order to feel secure, but my child, if you saw everything at once, you would either stop in fear or try to control it in overconfidence. I do not conceal because I am stingy. I cover because I love you. I lead you as I once led my people through the night, enough light for the path ahead, enough covering so they would not panic, enough guidance so they would not be lost. In that journey, what I seek to form is not only an outcome, but a relationship. I want you to learn to ask me before you decide, to pause before you react, to check your heart before you say yes to an invitation. You will begin to see that much loss in life does not start with a great mistake. It begins with small, repeated choices, skipping rest once too often, spending to soothe emotions, saying it's fine when you should have said no, letting distractions steal precious hours. I do not reveal these things to condemn you. I reveal them to heal you. When you see the source of the leak, you can mend it. When you recognize what scatters you, you can refocus. When you notice what dries your heart, you can return to my living water. Remember one of my servants who was tested in secret. He could have chosen the easy way to save himself, but he chose what was right when no one was watching. I use moments like these to build character. And character is what keeps you steady when everything begins to expand. The one who can seize an opportunity today is not always the one who can keep it tomorrow, but the one refined in secret will know how to hold what is entrusted without losing their soul. I am refining you in this way quietly. But surely, I want you to look ahead with a peace that has depth, not peace because you control everything, but peace because you are walking in order. That order will show itself in very practical ways. You plan wisely. You measure your strength. You set priorities. You practice restraint. You choose environments that nourish rather than erode. You leave what only drains you and remain where you are growing. You work diligently without neglecting your body. You give in love without pushing yourself into chaos. And my child, when you live in that order, you will see me open to what fits you in the right way. Not only more resources, but more clarity. Not only more opportunities, but more calm to choose. Not only more results, but more capacity to preserve them. I do not promise you will never face headwinds, but I promise they will no longer define you. I am shaping you into someone composed, grounded, trustworthy, someone others can rely on, someone you yourself can respect. And this is something beautiful as you become this person. You do not only change your own life, you create a new trajectory for those connected to you. A new current is released, not through noise, but through faithfulness. Keep walking. Do not be discouraged by progress no one applauds. I see it all. I record it all. I am weaving small threads into a great fabric. And the day will come when you look back and realize what I did in ordinary days became the foundation for radiant days. And what I built in silence became the strength that held you steady in wide open spaces. My beloved child, as I lead you into this next stretch, understand this: I am not only building a strong foundation, I am preparing you for an expansion that will come in its proper time. That expansion will not rush in like a violent wind, nor will it come to test your endurance. It will arrive as a wider space that requires a new posture from you. That is why I am adjusting your inner stance, how you see yourself, how you locate your value, how you receive responsibility. There are days when everything seems unchanged. Yet within you, I am shifting the center of gravity, resetting the axis of your life so that when you step into a broader space, you will not fall from imbalance. I do not want you to expand through excitement. I want you to expand through steadiness. And that steadiness is born from learning to remain in the light. Keep your rhythm and refuse to trade peace for speed. For a long time, you grew accustomed to tension, so much so that when gentleness arrived, you did not trust it to stay. You feared that if you relaxed, things would slip from your hands. You feared that if you allowed joy, something bad would follow. Those fears did not come from the present. They are echoes of seasons when you had to fend for yourself in lack. I do not fault you for learning to defend yourself, but now I am inviting you to lay that armor down. I want you to receive grace with gratitude, not suspicion. I want you to remain in moments of peace without sabotaging them through worry. If you do not learn to stay with what is good, you will always return to what is familiar, even when what is familiar exhausts you. I am healing your relationship with joy, so that when abundance comes, you do not push it away. In this season, I am also touching how you respond to recognition and praise. Before, you may have either craved it too much or avoided it out of fear of pride. Both distort your rhythm. I am teaching you a middle way. You can receive affirmation without letting it define you. You can rejoice in being seen without living for being seen. I am not calling you to hide from the light. I am calling you to stand in the light with humility. When you learn this, praise will not lift you too high, and criticism will not drag you too low. You will stand at a stable height where you know what you are doing, why you are doing it, and for whom you are doing it. That is the height at which I can entrust you with greater responsibility, because you are no longer driven by emotion. I am also widening your heart in a very practical way. I am teaching you how to love without losing yourself. There were relationships you once held together through uneven sacrifice you gave beyond your capacity because you were afraid of losing them. But I do not call you to love through depletion. I call you to love through truth. And truth includes boundaries, clarity, and the ability to speak what needs to be said without wounding. I am teaching you to discern the difference between compassion and placing yourself where you are slowly eroded. When you learn to love this way, you will find relationships becoming healthier, not because people become perfect, but because you are no longer trying to hold everything at any cost. And when relationships are rightly positioned, your energy no longer leaks. It is gathered toward what truly bears fruit. My beloved child, let me speak about expansion as I usually work. I do not only add, I also refine. Before I give you more, I clarify what should remain and what must be released. There are things that served you in one season but will weigh you down in the next. There are roles you once carried out of necessity that now need to be handed back or brought to a close. I know letting go can bring sorrow, because you are attached to what is familiar. But I do not remove in order to leave you empty. I remove to make room for what fits better. When you trust me in the releasing, you will no longer have to hold everything with clenched hands. You will experience lightness joined with precision, each thing in its proper place, each responsibility with clear limits, each goal with a defined direction. You do not need to know everything in order to begin. You need to be willing to learn as you begin. There are new spaces that may make you feel like a beginner again, not because you are inadequate, but because you are growing. I am not embarrassed by your learning. I delight in it. I do not demand instant perfection. I ask for faithfulness and humility. When you carry that posture, you will learn faster, adjust better, and avoid many unnecessary collisions. I will place the right people beside you to support you, not to do the work for you, but to help you mature. And, my child, when you enter this season with a teachable heart, you will find that expansion does not overwhelm you. It makes you come alive. I do not expand you so that you must run faster. I expand you so that you can go farther. I do not add responsibility to exhaust you. I add it to grow you. I do not bring you into the light to expose you. I bring you into it so you can see clearly and stand firmly. What I am doing in you is a preparation shaped by love, not loud, not forced, but deeply secure. Remain in this rhythm. Do not return to old ways when the new feels unfamiliar. Do not doubt when peace appears. I am leading you into a space where you can breathe deeply. Stand upright and build for the long term. And when you arrive, you will realize everything I did before had purpose. Every lesson had its place, and every expansion came at the right time. As you begin to taste expansion that is quiet and ordered, I want you to understand something vital. Not every more is a blessing, but every true blessing carries increase in the right place. I am teaching you to discern the difference between expansion and inflation. Inflation is when you take on more responsibility, more goals, more relationships out of fear of missing out. Expansion is when you receive what fits because you are ready. I do not want you to become busier. I want you to become deeper. When you are deep, you naturally become wide. When you are wide without depth, you soon run dry. So I am gently examining your motives. Are you saying yes because you are called, or because you fear losing your place? Are you stepping in because you have peace, or because you feel pressured? Are you receiving because you have capacity, or because you believe saying no will set you back? I do not ask these questions to limit you. I ask them to protect you from unnecessary weight. I am also training you in the art of allocation, allocating time, energy, attention, and passion. Before, you may have poured everything into one thing while neglecting another. At times, you burned brightly. At times, you went dark. I do not condemn you. I am inviting you to learn a sustainable rhythm. A sustainable rhythm is not as thrilling as a peak moment, but it will take you far. I want you to know when to work with focus and when to truly rest, what deserves your full strength and what can be done in measure, which relationships require investment and which need healthy distance. When you allocate rightly, you will no longer feel stretched in every direction. You will find yourself more fully present at home, at work, in prayer. And that full presence creates a quality that quantity can never replace. My beloved child, there is something I want you to practice in this season. Learn to slow down before attractive invitations. Not to distrust people, but to listen to the truth within. Some invitations sound noble, urgent, even virtuous. Yet they are not yours, at least not in this season. I do not need you to prove goodness by saying yes to everything. I need you to be faithful to what I have entrusted to you. When you slow down, you give wisdom space to speak. When you rush, you hand authority to pressure. I do not want pressure to lead you. I want truth to lead you. And truth usually speaks in quietness, not urgency. Remember this, my true doors do not require you to push your way through. They open when you arrive at the right time, with the right posture. Broaden your understanding of influence. Influence does not come only from position or resources. It comes from consistency. when you live consistently, when your words and actions align, when your values do not shift with circumstances, others will trust you. That trust opens spaces that effort alone cannot. I am shaping you into someone others feel safe in trusting work to. Safe walking alongside. Safe listening to. This is a very durable kind of expansion. It does not depend on trends or public opinion. And when I place you in wider spheres of influence, you will not lose your way, because you are not entering to be seen, but to serve with clarity. In this season, I am also teaching you how to face mistakes as responsibility grows. When your role is small, few notice your errors. When your sphere widens, mistakes become more visible. I do not say this to frighten you. I say it to prepare the right posture, humility to learn, readiness to correct, freedom from self-justification, and freedom from self-condemnation. I do not demand that you never err. I ask that you be honest when you do. A person who owns responsibility and adjusts is trusted far longer than one who tries to appear flawless. I am building within you a steadiness strong enough to face mistakes without collapsing, and a humility deep enough to repair without bitterness. That steadiness will keep you safe as your life continues to expand. I want you to notice a subtle temptation that often comes with expansion, the belief that you must hold everything together by your own strength. When the workload grows and responsibility increases, it is easy to return to old habits, bracing, carrying, managing alone. I remind you what has kept you this far was not strain, but dependence. Do not abandon what brought you here. Keep placing major decisions before me. Keep protecting your quiet spaces. Keep guarding your day of rest. Keep speaking honestly about your limits. When you do, I will show you that expansion does not crush you, it lifts you in a steady way. Remember, I do not expand you to scatter you, I expand you to make you more precise. I do not add to exhaust you, I add to mature you. I do not bring you into new spaces, so you will lose your way. I bring you in, so you can learn to stand firm in wider places. Trust that everything I am doing, each refining, each teaching, each invitation to slow down is protecting you for a season you can remain in for the long term. Keep walking, my beloved. I am going ahead of you, clearing the way quietly, but surely, my beloved child. As you reach this point, I want you to see something you once overlooked when I expand your life. The enemy does not always attack with obvious evil, but often with what seems right. He will bring options that look reasonable, invitations that sound beautiful, paths that appear to help you move faster, yet beneath the surface they pull you away from my gentle leading. That is why I am teaching you a new standard of discernment. What pulls you into haste rarely comes from me. What steals the clarity of your soul is not my way. What demands you trade integrity for achievement does not belong to me. You do not need to fear what is new, but you must learn to discern so you are not pulled off course. I want you to enter wider spaces with bright eyes, not with uncontrolled excitement. Understand this. My true doors do not force you to run, they invite you to step. And when you step, your heart is not squeezed by pressure, it is opened by peace. I will teach you something deeper about protection. I do not only protect you from what is outside, I also protect you from your own inner vulnerabilities, places where you soften because you feel unsafe, places where you agree because you fear rejection, places where you chase because you want recognition. As your sphere grows, those weak places are amplified. That is why I will not let you go alone. I am touching the deepest layers of your motives, so you are not driven by the need to be seen. I want you to work from truth, not from insecurity. I want you to stand in praise without intoxication and stand in criticism without collapse. I want you to learn to let me define you, rather than letting others' reactions define you. When you anchor yourself in me, you will not be pulled from the path by noise, whether it comes as approval or judgment. Let me remind you of what I did with one of my servants. As he entered a wider season, I did not add to him merely so he would have more. I gave so he could steward. When gifts and responsibility grow, what keeps you safe is not cleverness, but honesty. Not the ability to speak well, but the ability to live rightly. Not smooth skill, but integrity. I am forging that kind of character within you. So when you stand before a major decision, I want you to ask, will this make my heart more upright? Will this help me keep my word? Will this draw me nearer to you? If the answer is unclear, do not rush. My wisdom does not push you with urgency. It leads you with light. The more mature you become, the less you need to hurry to prove anything. You only need to do the right thing at the right time, and that is enough. Influence is not for you to build a name, it is for you to build a path where the weary can recover hope, the lost can find order again, and those crushed by pressure can breathe. When I entrust you with wider reach, I am not calling you to become cold or distant, I am calling you to become deep and kind. I want you to keep your heart soft, but not weak, to keep compassion, but not blindness, to keep a wide heart, but with boundaries. For if you love without boundaries, you will run dry, and if you keep boundaries without love, you will grow hard. I am teaching you the balanced way, the way where truth and mercy meet. When you live this way, your influence will not harm others, and it will not harm you. Many lose their peace because they think, now I must prove I deserve this. They begin to do too much, talk too much, run too much, until they step out of the rhythm I established. I do not need you to prove anything. I need you to be faithful. Faithfulness means continuing what you have learned, keeping quiet spaces, keeping rhythms of rest, keeping clarity in priorities, keeping restraint in spending, keeping a soft heart in dialogue, keeping truth in your words. Faithfulness means you do not change principles just because circumstances change. When you live this way, you will find that expansion does not drain your life, it adds to it. You will see that you are not squeezed dry in order to gain, but lifted up in order to remain. Practice something very practical and very holy. Learn to say not yet without fear. Some things are good, but not yet in season. Some invitations are right, but not right for this moment. Some opportunities shine, but they are not yours in this season. When you have the courage to say not yet, you are protecting what I am building. You do not need to chase every open door. There are doors I do not need you to enter, because entering them would require leaving the path I am leading you on. I do not scold you for past confusion. I simply want you to mature until fear of missing out no longer controls you. You will learn that missing what does not belong to you is actually being rescued from months of needless weariness. My expansion always comes with my keeping. I will not give you something and then leave you to manage alone. I will not bring you into a space and then let you get lost. I will be there in every choice, every conversation, every step. As long as you still know how to pause and listen, still know how to humble yourself to learn, still know how to keep uprightness in small things, you will not lose your way in greater things, and you will realize what I am giving you is not merely a higher level, but a life aligned on the right axis where you can breathe deeply, walk steadily, and let good things come without losing yourself. My beloved child, as I bring you into this portion of the journey, Understand this. I am not only leading you to a new place, I am reshaping the way you stand within your own life. There is a thin line between being blessed and knowing how to carry blessing. Many receive good things but cannot keep them, not because they are bad, but because they were not prepared to bear the weight of what arrived. I do not want you to touch the blessing and then drop it along the way. I want you to become someone who can remain in what I give without losing peace, without losing yourself. That is why in this season I am giving you a new capacity, the capacity to carry responsibility without carrying burden. Responsibility comes from calling, burden comes from fear. When you learn to distinguish the two, you will walk much lighter. I know there are times you think that the more you are entrusted with, the more you must tense yourself so you will not disappoint me. But I do not call you to live in fear of failing me. I am not the one who traps you with vague expectations. I am your Father, and I teach you with clarity. What I assign always comes with sufficient grace. If you feel you must strain to keep it, pause and ask, am I carrying this by grace or by fear? For what is carried by grace will steady you. What is carried by fear will wear you down. I am reordering your motives so that when you work from love, not anxiety. When you serve in freedom, not pressure. From that place, you will do better without undoing yourself. My beloved child, I am also touching the way you view results. Before, you may have measured the worth of a day by what you managed to complete. If you accomplished much, you felt useful. If you accomplished little, you felt like a failure. I am teaching you a different measure whether you lived in the rhythm I set for you on that day. There are days that are highly productive in work yet poor in life. And there are days that look ordinary but quietly nourish the future. I do not want you to trade your soul to meet targets. I want you to learn how to work deeply, not merely how to work a lot. When you work deeply, you create lasting value. When you only work more, you soon run dry. I am freeing you from the pressure to prove your worth through productivity. You are already worthy because you belong to me. You were not created to run without rest. From the beginning, I built rhythms of rest into your design, not as a reward for the strong, but as protection for the faithful. When you ignore rest, you are not being devoted. You are slowly numbing your own sensitivity. I want you to learn to recognize the early signs of fatigue, so you can stop before you are depleted. A person who knows how to stop at the right time will go farther than one who never stops. I do not need you exhausted to glorify me. I need you fully alive to reflect the life I give. In this depth, I am also teaching you to release subtle control. You may not notice it, but at times you try to keep everything in place by controlling outcomes, controlling people, controlling the pace of events. I understand why you fear things slipping from your hands, but I am inviting you into a deeper trust, trusting that things do not stand only because you hold them together. There are things that stand only when you let go. When you release control, you do not lose authority. You return authority to its rightful place. And I will show you that when you are in the right position, I do what you cannot do. Hear this clearly. I do not call you to be perfect in order to deserve blessing. I call you to maturity so you can keep blessing. Maturity does not mean never failing. It means knowing how to correct. It does not mean never getting tired. It means knowing how to rest. It does not mean never feeling fear. It means bringing that fear to me instead of letting it rule you. I am making you strong at the roots. So, when good things come in greater measure, they do not pull you off course. You will know how to place them rightly, use them for the right purpose, and release them when needed without panic. You are not measured by what you carry, but by how you carry it. When you carry by grace, you will go far without breaking. When you carry fear, you will wear down even if you achieve much. I am teaching you the way of grace, a way that holds responsibility and freedom together, discipline and peace together. Keep walking this path. I am with you, not to demand more, but to lead you into a life that is full without losing the life within. As you begin to learn how to carry responsibility without letting burden crush your soul, I want to lead you deeper into a very subtle dimension, how you face expectations your own, those of others, and even the expectations you place on me. At times you create an invisible list of things that should have happened by now, and whenever reality does not match that list, your heart tightens. I do not fault you for hoping. Hope is something I placed within you, but I want you to learn how to anchor hope in truth, not in the pressure of deadlines. I do not operate on schedules drawn by fear. I move by the rhythm of ripeness. When you understand this, you will stop forcing yourself to arrive. Stop condemning yourself for not being there yet, and begin to see that each day you are being trained to stand firmly in what is coming. I am clarifying for you the difference between holy responsibility and false responsibility. Holy responsibility enlarges you. False responsibility shrinks you. Holy responsibility comes from calling and is sustained by grace. False responsibility comes from the need to please everyone or prove your worth. I am helping you identify the musts that do not come from me, the musts that make you tense, sleepless, irritable, and distant from my presence. When you courageously lay those musts down, you do not become irresponsible, you become free to do what is right. And when you do what is right, even if it is less, I will cause it to bear more fruit. One thing done in order will last longer than 10 things done in chaos. My beloved child, I am healing your relationship with failure. There were times you stumbled not because you were unfaithful, but because you were learning, yet you punished yourself with harsh words, as if every mistake were proof that you were not enough. I want you to learn to see failure in a different light, not as a verdict, but as information. Information helps you adjust. It is not meant to destroy you. When you allow yourself to learn from mistakes without losing your dignity, you recover faster, rise wiser, and continue more steadily. I do not remember you by your falls. I see you through your faithfulness in getting back up, and it is that rising again that makes you strong. I am teaching you to keep your heart soft as responsibility increases. There is a real danger here when you must decide more. You may harden yourself to protect against pressure. I do not want you to trade sensitivity for efficiency. I want you to learn how to hold both decisive yet compassionate, clear yet listening, strong yet gentle. When you keep softness within, you will not become cold even under heavy pressure. And that softness does not make you weak, it makes you discern. It helps you know what needs to be spoken, what should be held back, what needs waiting, and what calls for action. You can be busy all day and never truly be present anywhere. I want you to learn how to place your attention on what gives life, not on what erodes it. There are news streams, conversations, and comparisons that only exhaust your mind and blur your vision. When you choose carefully what you allow into your mind, you are protecting your ability to discern. A quiet mind hears more clearly. A heart that is not overstretched recognizes the right direction. I do not need you to know everything. I need you to hear what is true. In this season, I am also teaching you how to work with me rather than merely work for me. Working for me can pull you into performance pressure. Working with me keeps you in a relationship, When you work with me, you ask before acting, rest before exhaustion, and adjust when needed without shame. You are not running alone, you are walking with me. And as you walk with me, you will discover that many things that once felt heavy become lighter, not because they disappear, but because you are no longer carrying them by yourself. Do not rush to become the finished version of yourself. I am working in you, layer by layer, rhythm by rhythm, day by day. Every lesson you are learning about expectations, responsibility, failure. Attention is shaping a person who can stand firm in blessing without losing life within. Walk slowly and steadily. I am not in a hurry, and you do not need to be either. I am here, leading you with gentle wisdom, so that you do not merely reach the destination, but arrive with your heart still whole. I want you to enter the final depth of this section with a calm, gentle awareness. What I am building is not merely outcomes for your life, but an inner capacity to safeguard. There are people who can move quickly with a favorable wind, yet when the land opens wide, they panic because they do not know how to remain. I do not want that for you. I want you to become someone who can stand steady when life changes, pace neither arrogant in ease nor shattered by resistance, neither losing softness when responsibility increases. I am teaching you to carry what I give with clean hands and a quiet heart, so that good things do not become something that frightens you. As you learn to keep what is entrusted to you, you will stop chasing, having more, as though lack were your destiny, and you will begin living from the sufficiency of my presence within you. My beloved child, there is a subtle temptation in every season of growth, turning discipline into a whip and calling into a yoke. You may unknowingly place yourself under rules of your own making, then use them to judge yourself each day. I do not call you to live as one who condemns themselves. I call you to live as one who is led. My discipline does not dry you out, it gives you life. It is like a fence protecting a garden, so what is good can grow without being trampled. If you find that the more disciplined you become, the less peace you have, pause. You may be doing the right things with the wrong motive. I want you to do what is right from love, not from fear. I want you to choose what is right because you honor the life I placed within you, not because you fear being abandoned. When the motive is healed, discipline stops being pressure and becomes breath. I am leading you through a very practical lesson, learning to steward what I give without turning it into an idol. At times you look at needs, goals, or lack, and without realizing it, you place them on the highest throne. You may not call them idols, but you give them the power to decide how you feel. When things go well, you are calm. When they do not, you panic. I do not fault you for having had to worry. I only want to free you from dependence. Remember that one of my servants was given much, yet he asked me for something greater than wealth, wisdom, to govern it. For wisdom will keep you safer than money, and discernment will give you more peace than any result. I want you to hunger for wisdom as much as you hunger for answers, because wisdom will lead you into decisions that protect your future. I am teaching you a new response to anxiety instead of running after signs. Return to truth. The truth is that I am near. The truth is that I know what you need before you name it. The truth is that you are not meant to live in a constant struggle for survival. You can work diligently without fighting life. You can set goals without turning yourself into a machine. You can move forward without trampling your own peace. When anxiety rises, learn one small but powerful act: stop, breathe deeply, and return to me with a simple word. In that moment, you are cutting off the flow of panic and reconnecting to the flow of trust. You may be surprised to learn how many poor decisions come not from ignorance, but from haste. I am rescuing you from haste. I am shaping your inner speech so it becomes a place of refuge rather than harm first toward yourself. At times you speak to yourself like a harsh master. You must not fail, must not be slow, must not be weak. But my child, how you speak to yourself will determine how you rise after hard days. I want you to learn to speak to yourself with truth and kindness. Truth does not flatter, but it does not crush. Truth says, today you are tired, but you can still take one small step. Truth says, you do not yet see the long road, but you can walk the stretch in front of you. When you treat yourself with kindness, you do not become fragile, you become resilient. For resilience belongs to those who know how to tend a small flame instead of extinguishing it with self-accusation. Remember, this true maturity always comes with rightly ordered generosity. Not generosity to be seen, but generosity flowing from a heart that has been filled. As you begin to live in order, you will have overflow of attention, of kindness, of patience, of capacity to help. I do not call you to give until you are empty. I call you to learn how to give from the right place. Some sow while their hands still tremble, yet they sow in faith, and I cause their seed to bear fruit in due season. I want you to live like that, able to share without chaos, able to help without losing boundaries, able to lift others without abandoning yourself. Such generosity makes you rich on the inside, and one who is rich within knows how to build sustainably on the outside. I am leading you into a life where you do not merely pass through, but become. Each time you choose peace over panic, truth over illusion, steady rhythm over emotional highs, you are growing. You do not need to finish today. You only need to be faithful in today's step. And as you are faithful, I will continue to open doors, not in ways that overwhelm you, but in ways that make you steadier. You will look back and realize the greatest gift I gave was not only what you held in your hands, but who you became, a person able to walk in the light without losing their way, to carry responsibility without being crushed, and to hold blessing while keeping a peaceful soul. This is not an ending, but a convergence where what I have quietly been forming in you begins to take its place. You are no longer only learning how to walk, you are learning how to remain in peace when circumstances shift, to remain in truth when noise tries to pull you off course, to remain in guidance even when you have the ability to decide on your own. This is a mature place to stand, and I know you have walked a long road to reach it. The things that once unsettled you, uncertainty, slow pace, empty spaces, no longer hold the same power, not because everything is clear, but because you are clearer. You know where you belong, why you walk, and what no longer needs to be carried. I am placing you where you can see farther without losing balance, where you no longer need to keep proving your worth, because your worth is firmly anchored in me. In this stage, I am also strengthening within you a quality that is quiet yet powerful, unshowy, perseverance. The world often confuses perseverance with rigidity or noise, but the perseverance I give you is the ability to keep doing what is right even without encouragement, applause, or immediate signs. You no longer live on short bursts of motivation. You live by long faithfulness, and that faithfulness will protect you through emotional cycles. I do not want you carried away by excitement, nor drowned by discouragement. I want you to stand in the middle where you can work steadily, love consistently, and trust without wavering. When you stand there, you will find that small disturbances no longer sweep you away. You have depth enough to absorb and transform them. My beloved child, before, you may have entered new spaces with a quiet question, "Do I belong here?" Now you enter with a different stillness. You carry your identity with you. You are not searching for it. This changes how you speak, how you listen, how you decide. You no longer rush to speak in order to be seen. You can wait to say what matters. You no longer grasp everything to prove yourself. You can choose your true portion. I am freeing you from the insecurity of needing to be accepted, so you can live from the truth that you have already been chosen. And when you live from that truth, you become safe for yourself and for others, a place others can trust. Lean on and build with. You are no longer in the stage of preparing to begin. You are in the stage of beginning in order to remain. What I have sown in you, discipline, peace, discernment, compassion, patience, is now working together as a unified whole. You do not need more pressure. You need to keep the rhythm. You do not need more voices. You need to keep clarity. You do not need more speed. You need to keep direction. I am with you in every next step, not to push you to go faster, but to walk with you farther, and you will see this as you remain in me. Everything you touch will gradually find its rightful place, and your life will become a space of order, of life, and of peace deep enough to sustain the seasons that are coming. Understand this clearly: remaining is not merely an emotional state. It is a choice repeated again and again. To remain in me is to return to truth even when you do not feel steady. It is refusing to let one hard day define an entire life. It is knowing when to stop and realign before you go too far. You once thought strength meant never wavering, but I am teaching you a deeper definition. Strength is knowing how to return. The resilient person is not the one who never trembles, but the one who knows how to place their feet back on the right foundation whenever the wind blows. That is why I am training you in the most important skill of a mature life, not merely walking well on good days, but walking well on bad ones. Not only guarding your heart when things go smoothly, but guarding it when you are misunderstood. Not only speaking kindly when you are joyful, but speaking truthfully when you are tired. When you live this way, you are remaining in the deepest sense, remaining in identity, remaining in order, remaining in guidance. See clearly, a very subtle battlefield, the battlefield of the mind. There are days when you do not stumble in action, but in interpretation, a comment from someone else, a piece of news, a small delay. If you interpret it through fear, it will grow into darkness. If you interpret it through truth, it will become a lesson. I am not asking you to deny your emotions. I am asking you not to make them the judge. Remember, these thoughts are the doorway of the atmosphere. When you open the door to suspicion, the atmosphere grows heavy. When you open it to gratitude, the atmosphere becomes lighter. When you open it to truth, the atmosphere becomes bright. I am teaching you to guard that door, not by forcing yourself to be positive, but by choosing what is true. What is true is this: I have brought you through many things you once thought you could not endure. What is true is that you have stood back up many times when no one was watching. What is true is that I have preserved you in hidden places, and I do not change. When you remind your soul of what is true, you are no longer dragged by the worst scenarios in your mind. You begin to live by light, not by assumption. In this season, I am also teaching you an art of maturity, learning how to live with empty spaces. There are times you want to fill every gap with busyness, with constant talking, with endless searching, because emptiness makes you uneasy. But my child, there are spaces I intentionally leave open, because they are where I nourish you. Just as soil needs stillness to absorb water, your soul needs quiet to absorb my word. If you fill everything, there will be no room to hear, no room to feel, no room to be restored. I am teaching you to honor moments when nothing special seems to happen, because it is in those moments that you are being healed from the habit of needing constant stimulation to feel alive. When you learn to live well in silence, you will stop chasing noise. And when you stop chasing noise, you will hear me more clearly. I am placing into your hands a very practical key, the ability to choose your response. Before, you may have reacted quickly because you were trying to protect yourself. Now, I am teaching you to create a small space between stimulus and response, a space just wide enough to ask, does this need an answer? Does this need immediate action? Does this belong to me? That small space will save you from many troubles. It will save you from words you later regret. It will save you from agreeing to things that drain you. It will save you from stepping into battles that are not yours. You will discover that maturity is not about strong reactions. Maturity is about right reactions. And those who respond rightly do not only protect themselves, they preserve peace in their homes, in their work, and in their relationships. I want you to learn how to pass through days that do not feel spiritual and still live spiritually. There are days that are very ordinary: working, cleaning, handling small tasks, answering messages, caring for family. You may think those days are insignificant, but my child, holiness is not found only in grand moments. It is found in how you live the small ones. When you work with integrity, that is holy. When you keep your word, that is holy. When you apologize after a mistake, that is holy. When you refuse to speak ill of others, that is holy. When you rest without condemning yourself, that is holy. I am teaching you to see the sacred in the ordinary, so you no longer depend on emotional highs to believe I am near. I am always near. And when you live the small things with uprightness, you are building a life where blessing can remain. You have come farther than you think. Do not let one weary day erase a long journey. Do not let a moment of shaking deny real growth. I do not measure you by a single day. I measure you by direction. And your direction is right. So when your heart wavers, do what you have learned. Return. Return to me with a simple prayer. Return to rest. Return to truth. Return to clarity of priorities. As you do this again and again, you will see that remaining is not something you hold together by your own strength. It is something I establish within you as you choose to return. I am here, and I will keep you. I want you to recognize this. What I am completing is not a series of teachings, but a way of life etched deep within you. You no longer need to ask yourself every day whether you are on the right path. Rightness has become an inner habit. You no longer strain to hold on to peace. Peace has become your foundation. You no longer strive to make everything meaningful. You are already living within meaning. This is the mark of true maturity, when what once required effort becomes natural. When you no longer have to remind yourself to believe, because trust has taken root. I did not rush you here. I led you step by step so you could remain. And now, as you stand in this place, you stand not in excitement, but in steadiness. Look back on the journey with gentle eyes. There were stretches where you walked more slowly than others. There were stretches where you felt as if you were standing still. Yet it was precisely in those places that I was doing my deepest work. I stripped away your habit of comparison. I softened the places that had grown hard through disappointment. I taught you to discern the difference between the voice that pressures and the voice that guides. You did not lose time. you were being shaped. You were not delayed, you were being prepared. And now, as you look back, you can see this clearly. What once frightened you no longer controls you. What once pulled you off course no longer entices you as before. You have changed not through a sudden leap, but through faithfulness repeated day after day. At this stage, I am also placing into your hands a very beautiful responsibility. The responsibility to live as one who is firmly anchored, not so that you teach or correct others, but so that your life itself becomes a quiet reminder. When others panic, you remain steady. When others rush, you keep your rhythm. When others chase noise, you know how to return to truth. This does not make you greater than anyone, it makes you safe for others. I will use your stability as a shelter for weary souls, not through grand words, but through consistent presence. You will not need to say much. The way you live will speak enough. My guidance will not be loud. It will come as a gentle knowing within, a soft nudge of the heart, a clarity that does not need argument. You will find yourself less torn between choices, not because there are fewer options, but because your direction is clearer. I have trained you so that you no longer have to ask me anxiously about every small thing, but can walk with confidence that grows out of a relationship. When you are wrong, you will recognize it sooner and return more quickly. When you are tired, you will stop before exhaustion. When you are given more, you will receive with open hands rather than clenched fists. This is the rhythm of one who has learned how to remain. Remember this, as you continue forward, you do not need a new sign to know that I am with you. The steadiness you carry is itself a sign. The clarity you have when facing problems is a sign. Your ability to choose what is right when no one is watching is a sign. I do not measure my presence by dazzling moments. I measure it by enduring faithfulness. And you are living in that faithfulness now. So when you face new seasons, whether of expansion, change, or challenge, you do not need to start over. You carry with you everything I have built. No lesson has been lost. No day has been wasted. I want you to move forward with a very deep freedom, the freedom from proving, from chasing, from fearing that you will miss out. You can walk slowly without shame. You can say no without guilt. You can say yes without panic. You can stand in the light without losing humility. I am entrusting you with a life of order, where you live fully and still keep your soul intact. That is the most precious thing. Let this journey close not with a shout, but with a deep breath. You do not need another promise. You are already living inside the promise. You do not need more pressure. You are standing in grace. And from this place, you will continue to walk, not to search for me, but with me. I am before you. I am beside you. And I am within you. Keep walking. Keep remaining. Keep living. I have completed what needed to be done in this season. And I take joy in watching you step into the days ahead with a heart that is steady, peaceful, and full of life. My beloved child, as this whole journey draws to a close, the most important thing I want you to carry is not a surge of emotion, nor the feeling that everything is solved, but a truth planted deep within you. You are no longer walking in the fog as before. Everything you have just passed through was not meant to take you to an external destination, but to bring you back to the right inner position where you know what foundation you are standing on, which direction you are walking in, and who is holding you up. You are no longer living merely by reacting to circumstances. You have learned to live from inner order. That is the greatest gift of this journey, and it is something no one can take from you. If you look back from the beginning until now, you will see a clear shift from panic to calm, From searching for signs to living by guidance, from straining to leaning, from fearing lack to knowing sufficiency. I did not rush to make you successful. I patiently made you steady. Success comes and goes, but steadiness remains. The lessons about rhythm, rest, discernment, boundaries, motives, responsibility, discipline, and freedom were never separate pieces. They are woven together to form a person who can walk a long road without losing their soul. I did not give you an easy path, I gave you a true one. Much of what I have done to you happened quietly. Not everyone saw it, it was not always named, but it was real. I slowed you down to rescue you from exhausting cycles. I held you in silence to heal places that had been worn thin. I taught you to say no to what did not belong to you, so you could say a wholehearted yes to what I entrusted to you. I helped you discern between pressure and invitation, between noise and guidance, between ambition and calling. And through it all, I never left you, not even for a moment, even when you did not realize it. One of the greatest changes is how you now see yourself. You no longer define your worth by speed, achievement, or recognition. You have begun to see the value of faithfulness, of small repeated steps, of ordinary days lived rightly. You no longer need to prove that you are worthy. You have learned to live from the truth that you are already loved. When that identity is set in its proper place, much tension naturally falls away. You no longer have to race. You no longer fear being left behind. You no longer compare to know where you stand. You know where you stand, and that is enough. This entire journey has answered a question you carried for a long time. How do I live without burning out? The answer is not in doing less or more, but in living at the right rhythm, the rhythm of rest, of focus, of giving, of receiving, of action, and of listening. When you live in that rhythm, you are no longer torn apart by competing demands. You no longer compensate emotionally by draining your energy. You no longer treat weariness with short-term fixes. You begin to build a life where energy is renewed rather than depleted. This is not an instant miracle, it is enduring wisdom. I have brought you to a very important place, a place where you can carry responsibility without carrying a burden. Responsibility no longer crushes you, it becomes something you can steward. You learn how to allocate, how to prioritize, how to say, not yet, how to correct, how to learn, how to keep your heart soft under pressure. You no longer fear responsibility because you are no longer carrying it alone. You no longer fear mistakes because you know you can rise again. You no longer fear lack because you have seen me keep you through dry seasons. Responsibility is no longer your enemy. It is a sign of the trust I place in you. My beloved child, I have hardly spoken about what the world would call spectacular. That is because I do not want you to depend on dramatic moments to believe that I am at work. I want you to recognize the sacred in the ordinary, the depth in the quiet, the lasting in the small. When you learn to live wholly in daily life in how you work, rest, speak, listen, keep your word, apologize, and give you no longer need spiritual shocks to find meaning. You have entered a life of order, where blessing can remain for a long time. Remember that this journey has not turned you into someone who never wavers. It has made you someone who knows how to return. To return to truth when your thoughts wander, to return to peace when emotions rise, to return to me when your heart grows weary. That ability to return is true strength. It will keep you in the seasons ahead when you expand further. When you face new challenges, when you step into spaces that demand more of you, you will not need to begin again from the start. You carry with you everything that has already been built. If I could gather this entire journey into one final message, it would be this: you have learned how to remain. To remain in me, to remain in truth, to remain in a life-giving rhythm, to remain in an identity that is not shaken. From here, you will continue walking not to search for meaning, but to live out the meaning that has already been planted within you. You will continue to grow, not through noise, but through steadiness. You will continue to influence not by striving to be seen, but by living with consistency. My beloved child, I do not promise that there will be no headwinds ahead, but I assure you that you are no longer someone defined by headwinds. You have a foundation, you have a rhythm, you have direction, and you have me. That is enough for you to enter any season without losing yourself. So close this journey not with anxiety about the next step, but with gratitude for what has been formed. You are no longer the person you were yesterday, and I, the one who has led you to this place, will continue to walk with you. Not to push you to go faster, but to go farther, deeper, and more fully into the life that has already been prepared for you. Thank you for listening to today's message. Please subscribe and turn on notifications so we can continue to receive words of life together. Build a firm faith and walk in the boundless love of God. Amen.